At this year's New York Auto Show, Hyundai debuted an updated Kona, which is longer, wider, and has more space. There are 2 gasoline powertrains plus an EV powertrain. Now, we're here to drive mostly the gas-powered stuff. However, this is an EV channel. I'm in front of one of the prototype EV models, so let's take it for a spin. So we didn't fly all the way to Maryland just to drive a gas-powered car because we're EV Pulse, not Gas Pulse. So I am in a very early prototype of the Kona EV. I will have one of our very fine producers put on screen horsepower, torque, and estimated range. There's actually 2 battery variants on the new Kona EV, and I'm in the larger of those 2 battery sizes. What's interesting about that is hopefully that'll allow Hyundai to offer an extremely competitive entry-level price for the standard battery, which should put it much more in line with some of the competition that has that real entry-level price secured. Hyundai's not talking about pricing. This is very early prototypes. We'll drive a production version early next year, hopefully. It rides really well. It's super quiet. I've just gone over a steel bridge. We just drove over a wooden bridge. It's much quieter in this cabin as a prototype cabin than the last Model 3 that I drove as a production car. I mean, by far. Acceleration, this hardware should be very similar to what's in the Niro EV right now, so I don't notice a lot of difference between those 2. Overall, this feels like, first off, a very solid and complete product. There's really a lot to like here. I spent the morning driving one of the gas-powered cars, and the interior refresh is excellent. I like what they've done with the center console. They sort of lowered it out of the way, so there's a lot more sort of just breathing space. Dual zone climate control, heated and ventilated seats in the version that we're in. All sort of like the real tech features and stuff that you want. And some nice things that are just on the new Kona that just didn't exist before. So I'm stopped here, I'm turning right. This particular model has the blind spot camera in the mirror that projects onto the instrument cluster. It's a fantastic feature. Every single Hyundai and Kia product should have it. I'm excited to see more and more having it. This car has Hyundai's newest infotainment system, which is both a positive and a negative. The positive is it's faster, it's snappier, supports even more over-the-air functionality, update functionality, and through a software update coming next year, it'll support wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto for the first time. Wirelessly, thank goodness, they've finally figured that out. The negative that I'm about to mention is you have to have the new hardware, and Kona is the first Hyundai product with that new hardware, so unless Hyundai refreshes the infotainment in Ioniq 5 or 6 independent of a mid-cycle refresh, you might be waiting a little bit to get that functionality, which is a bit of a bummer. The car seems a little quieter. Hyundai has done some effort to improve NVH, but even in this prototype, it seems to be a little quieter than the old model. All of the stuff that we liked from the old model, the certain tech availability features, stuff like that, that's all here. But there's just some overall clever new stuff. It's new steering wheel, which it's nice to the touch. It doesn't have the Hyundai badge anymore on it. It's got the four dot pixel. These don't appear to be illuminated like they are on Ioniq 6, but it's still there. The front headlight treatment is special on the EV. It's got a pixelated lights thing all the way across. Overall, it's a very attractive car. Like, I'm looking forward to spending more time in it, but they fixed a lot of little annoyances that I would have had with the previous Kona EV, especially with wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. The wireless charging mat has this nice little rubber mat on to hold it in place. USB-C on board, both front and rear. Finally, there's some rear vents for the rear seat passengers. I think it's attractive. I think it drives well. Yes, it's a front-wheel drive only offering. The charging rate hasn't improved, so you're still at an 85. Well, it's improved a little bit, I think, over the last one, but it's still an 85 kilowatt hour max, which means a 10 to 80% charge time of roughly 45 minutes. And compared to one of Hyundai's eGMP cars, that's nearly double the time. But if this car comes in, if the one that we're driving comes in at around 40 and the base model starts somewhere between that 30 to 35 range, I think they might be onto something. And that's based on a very positive experience of this prototype. Some materials and stuff in here probably aren't final. A few things that maybe are a little bit more plastic fantastic than they will be in the production car, but they're not trying. We're being given this opportunity because they have them available and not to be representative of the final product. But if my 10 minutes of yapping to you is a good indication of where they're heading with this and how impressed I am with the gas-powered car we drove this morning, they're probably onto something with this. The Kona EV goes on sale next year, and early next year we will have our full first drive impressions of the car in full production spec. In the meantime, watch our range test of the Hyundai Ioniq 6 by clicking right over here.